was a big day for Joe Biden. Don't take my word for it. Just listen to the always honest and ever forthcoming White House propagandist Jen Psaki circling back.
So the president has nothing on his schedule today aside from the PDB. Can you shed any light on how he's spending his day?
Well, let's see. This morning, I think he had some policy meetings, also a PDB meeting. He, later this afternoon, I think is doing some remarks review. There are some days that we spend some time doing internal meetings and discussions with policy experts, with policy leaders, and that's what's happening today. He would say he doesn't have nearly enough time of free time on his schedule because it is packed no matter whether people see him or not.
That's right. 0 official events on the schedule. The average is less than 1 a day. Anyway, 0 today. But that doesn't mean Joe was doing nothing. Take a look at your screen. Here he is out and about in beautiful Washington, D.C. at a woman's clothing boutique doing a little shopping. Joe even picked out a brand new mug with Kamala Harris's face on the front. See how wonderful it is? They really don't hate each other at all, like the press has been suggesting, even though it's clear their relationship is extremely tense. Now, of course, he also took some time to gaze at women's blouses. Very important work for a president. And when you look at this, here he is enjoying some much-needed ice cream, and Joey even got his favorite flavor, chocolate. What inflation, what COVID, what border crisis, what Russia-Ukraine crisis. No doubt for a guy who doesn't often leave the house, it was a really, really big day. He's probably sleeping by now, filled with fun and adventure, and yet somehow Joe still managed to find time to answer this important question. Take a look.
Can you tell me whether you think, sir, that the risk of an invasion is increasing or decreasing or steady just as it has been these recent days?
You know, I'll be completely honest with you. It's a little bit like reading tea leaves.
There you have it, the Biden doctrine, reading the tea leaves, just like he read the tea leaves in Afghanistan. You remember when Joe proclaimed we had all the leverage over the Taliban and he'd never abandon any Americans. By the way, it's been 164 days.
Americans held hostage, abandoned behind enemy lines. Day 164.
In Joe Biden's world of sunshine, cotton candy, lollipops, rainbows, chocolate ice cream, there's nothing to worry about. Not Afghanistan, not a 40-year high of inflation, no supply chain crisis, no worker shortage, no border crisis, no COVID crisis. You know, think about it. There are now ongoing catastrophes at home and abroad. Europe is on the cusp of war. Joe Biden is in a clothing boutique looking at a lady's blouse. Anyway, with no other events on his schedule, none. Tonight I have a message. Whoever's really running the show at the White House, we, the American people, are not stupid. Now, it is now painfully obvious to everyone, Joe is not fit to serve. U.S. presidents don't just hang out at ice cream parlors and then call it a day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is not normal. And, of course, by all accounts, Joe has never been, well, to be blunt, the sharpest tool in the shed anyway. Remember, he plagiarized speeches, cheated in law school, still finished near the bottom of his class, lied about that, too. High-level officials in the Obama administration, they even openly mocked Joe for getting pretty much everything wrong. But now it's serious and much worse. As a reminder, here is Joe Biden throughout the years. Take a look.
In our bilateral relationships with nations with whom we deal and have serious trade deficits, we have to be willing to put more cards on the table.
And in that neighborhood, there was filled with women and men, mothers and fathers who taught their children if they believed in themselves, if they were honest, if they worked hard, if they loved their country, they could accomplish anything. We believed it, and we did. Now they got a new plan. Trust me, it's not going to cost you any more. Folks, follow your instincts on this one.
They put one foot in front of the other. They keep going. That's the unbreakable spirit of the people of America.
I would say that was a pretty cognitively aware, sharp, combative Joe Biden. Now let's take a moment and compare what you just heard to Biden's recent press conference from just last week. See if you notice a discernible difference. You decide. Take a look.
The idea that but the nature, not when the political coverage, that, look, some of the political players and some of the, let me ask a rhetorical question. No, I won't. Anyway.
Ask yourself, how does that make you feel? For me, I'm embarrassed and I find it humiliating for our country. Here's an obvious question that no one in the media mob will dare ask. Does Joe Biden have the mental strength and capacity to serve as the president of the United States? Now, we're going to ask two doctors this very question. Now, I'm not a medical professional, but it appears to me to be very transparent, very obvious, very clear, and so many others, that Joe Biden is in a steep cognitive decline. It seems to be accelerating to me. We know that he required not one, but two potentially degenerative brain surgeries from aneurysms during his time in the U.S. Senate. And we can all see that Biden now struggles to find words, these long, awkward pauses of his, often confusing names and places and dates. He has these, bouts of sudden anger are very real. Over the past few days, Joe called not one but two Fox News reporters stupid, even one a son of a bitch, even accused another reporter of not knowing how to read. Today, Jen Psaki did her very best to try and clean up that mess without apologizing, of course. Why would they say they're sorry? Not that I care, but take a look.
Forgive me, it's sort of the elephant in the room. Many people in the country were talking about it last night, this morning. Does the president regret saying what he said about Peter? Can you shed some light if you have had any conversations with him today about what happened last night?
Well, I would say what's most important, and it's Peter sitting here, so this is kind of a funny thing, but the president called Peter, and he confirmed this, so this is only why I'm speaking to this. And if you have private conversations with the president, I will assure you I'm not going to convey that on your behalf. But Peter spoke to this. The president called him. He conveyed to him that it was nothing personal, man, and also acknowledged that all of you are going to ask him a range of questions. So I think that speaks for itself.
No hard feelings, pal. By the way, unlike fake news CNN and every liberal in the country, we're not going to fake and feign moral outrage. I don't really give a rip what Joe Biden says to anybody. It's not personal. Fine, I'll take it that way. Joe is apparently unable to control his bursts of anger and so many other cognitive troubles. All right, so last night we did this on the program, and our friend Geraldo Rivera does not believe Joe Biden is mentally unfit. He doesn't think that the president is in a steep cognitive decline. Before we get to Geraldo, I want to play a clip. Unlike Joe Biden, Geraldo, sorry to do this to you, over the years, we went back and we did the same thing with you. You have not changed at all. Take a look.
All right, this is the Big Bagram Air Base, our main base in Afghanistan, and this is the Falcon DFAC. DFAC, that's dining facility to those of you who don't speak military jargon.
He's a political pundit, a martial arts champion, of course, a best-selling author, most recently, of Black Belt Patriotism, How to Reawaken America. He is Chuck Norris.
It was the trial of the 20th century, the longest in the history of California, 10 months. 150 witnesses called to the courthouse here in downtown Los Angeles.
This is where they are seeing an enormous influx of migrant families coming without documentation.
Major dangerous stoners there. Hi, everybody. I'm Geraldo Rivera. Welcome to Cops All Access. The revival season is rolling out exclusively right here on Fox Nation.
Exact same guy 20 years later. So I have another question. After seeing this, does our friend, and he is our friend, Geraldo Rivera, now believe Joe Biden has lost more than just a step? And with so much at stake, it's the most important job, hardest job in the world. Don't the American people deserve to see the results of a cognitive test like Donald Trump took so that we can know that this president is okay? Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.